Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank each and every one of you for attending this webinar. Whether you're seeing it live or whether you're watching the archive, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to put all distractions aside. You owe it to yourself to focus on this information because what I'm going to share with you has the ability to create more income than you could ever imagine. Now, I know that's a bold statement, and I know that if you've been on presentations in the past, you hear that a lot. But if you just give me the time and your attention, I'm going to prove it to you. So shut off social media, get in a quiet place, and give me your full attention. I promise you it'll be worth it. A little bit about me. My name is Tom Selly. Most of you probably already know me. I'm a 17-year full-time marketer and entrepreneur. I've built teams to over 700,000 members, and I've developed a number of programs that have gotten traction in the marketplace. And basically, I call myself a lifestyle evangelist. If you're connected to me on social media or on Facebook, you're seeing the lifestyle pics on a regular basis. I got into this industry for the time freedom. I got into this industry because I wanted to live a life of design, and I've been able to do that. And if you're still waking up every morning and going to a job, I promise you there's light at the end of the tunnel if you follow through to the end of this presentation. Let's get started. I want to share with you a powerful funding mechanism. So what we're going to show today is a funding mechanism that allows people to get maximum funding and choose from a menu of cash flow options that can enable you to create that life of design I was just talking about. Most people don't really understand that a natural resource of capital is your FICO score. There are hundreds of millions of people in the United States that have FICO scores, and they don't know how to fully utilize and maximize the opportunity that they're holding in their hands. And we're going to show you how to do that. And this dilemma creates a massive opportunity, and that's what we have right here. Folks, there are 220 million scoreable people in America, so we have no shortage of people that need what we have to share. And we're going to talk a little bit about debt, because a lot of people, when you consider using your credit, a lot of people have a lot of negative associations and feelings associated with that. But there is bad debt, but there's also good debt. And let's talk about the differences. We all know that credit cards are considered bad debt, but how many of us understand that even your mortgage is bad debt? The definition of bad debt is anything that takes money out of our pocket. So it's a liability in the world of cash flow in Robert Kiyosaki. And this is a paradigm shift in the mindset for most of us. How many people knew already that their mortgage payment was a liability? Most people didn't realize that. Let's talk about good debt. The wealthy learn to use debt or leverage in a very positive way, and we call that good debt. And the definition of good debt is this: any debt that creates a cash flow asset, and the cash flow not only pays the debt service, but pays off the debt. So at the end, you have an asset that continues to pay you with no remaining debt. That's what good debt is, and this is what the wealthy have used for centuries. Your FICO score can be utilized as a natural resource for funding with the purpose of creating a cash flowing asset, wherein the cash flow pays off the debt and you're left holding a free and clear cash flowing asset. Does that make sense? And folks, there are millions of opportunities. Think about the millions upon millions of Americans that are struggling financially who could utilize and benefit from this incredible platform. And that's what we do here at Peak Funding. And folks, we have unmatched expertise from credit restoration and enhancement to corporate credit, which is a product we've been offering recently. We have over 8 years and $250 million in funding expertise. We also specialize in joint ventures, cash flow consulting, debt elimination, and retirement vehicles. And I don't know about you guys, but those of you that know me know I'm in my 50s, and this is one of the vehicles that I'm using that I can continue to live a life of design without much effort heading into the winter of my life. And of course, we all want to enjoy recurring income. So you can learn about all the possible investment opportunities and choose the one that suits you best. Now, I'm not giving investment advice. I'm not licensed by the SEC to give investment advice, but I can show you what's working for me. I can show you what I've experienced and what's been working, and you can make an educated decision. Let's talk about why passive income equals lifestyle. Those of you that are working a job right now, imagine living a life of design where you're in complete control of your time and you have the income to pursue your passions. Imagine what it would be like to wake up every day and design the day based on your passions, based on what gets you charged to jump out of bed. And because we're going to show you how we leverage funding, I'm going to give you a scenario. What if you took $70,000 and used it to create a 7% per week dispersal in Bitcoin, which is what I'm currently doing? Folks, that's $4,900 per week in income, or $19,600 on average, because some months have 28 days and others have 31, and it runs for 44 months. So let's imagine that you qualify and receive for $150,000 in funding at 10% interest, and I'm figuring, what the average would be, because, unsecured loans tend to be higher interest. The loans are actually going to range between 7 and 12%, but I'm factoring an average of 10%. The minimum payment is $3,187 per month, or $797 per week. That's the debt service, the minimum debt service on $150,000. So $49,000 a week minus $797 equals $4,103 per week times 4. That's $16,412 per month in your pocket while you're making the minimum debt service. We're going to talk about the debt service some more in the next slides. But let me ask you, can you live on $16,412 a month? I would say most Americans can. The average American is eking out an existence on about $4,000 or less a month. So I would think that quadrupling that amount would well qualify as a nice, comfortable income for most Americans. Now, I want to talk about corporate funding. We just talked about the personal side. Let's talk about corporate. Because we can build a file on a new corporation and receive $350,000 to $500,000 in corporate funding in 120 days or less. And folks, this isn't theory. We've proven this model already, and we've been offering it as a product. We've put over 20 deals through, and we're putting more and more deals through every single week. Imagine receiving $350,000 to $500,000 in corporate funding. And what's great about the corporate funding is there's no PG, there's no personal guarantee. It's not tied to your personal credit score. The cost for a new corporate workup is $20,000, and we're going to take this from the original personal funding. Okay, so remember, we talked about the $150,000 in personal funding. You're already making $16,000 a month, and you're servicing that debt already with the income that you're making. Now we take $20,000 and we do a corporate workup. We take this from the original personal funding. We've already covered the debt service for the personal funding and created a $16,000 per month in income, and the corporate funding is the second part of our long-term wealth creation plan. Now stick with me. In 120 days or less, we'll have between $350,000 and $500,000, and these loans will be unsecured bank wires into a business account, and we'll use this money to completely pay off the personal debt in full. I'm going to say this again. We're going to take $20,000 from the personal funding. We're going to do a corporate workup. Within 120 days, we're going to have the cash to pay off all personal debt. I'm going to say it again. We'll use this money to completely pay off the personal debt in full. So within 120 days, we took the $20,000 from the personal funding. We did a corporate workup, created a new corporation, and got it funded somewhere between $350,000 and $500,000, and now you have an even higher FICO score because we just paid off all your personal debt. And now you also have a $4,900 weekly income coming in for another 32 months. Remember, we were taking about $900, almost $1,000 a week, and paying the debt service down, but now there is no debt. So you now have a $4,900 weekly income. That's in Bitcoin in the 7% program for 32 more months. You also have as much as $350,000 left over in corporate funding, which we can double every 120 days. I'm going to talk about that. How do we double your money in 120 days? There are over 220 million Americans that have subpar credit. So it goes without saying that having good credit is not just a benefit these days, it's mandatory, in America especially. You can't get a checking account, you can't rent an apartment, you can't buy a house, you can't even rent a car without it. There are so many people in need of our credit enhancement. We call it our Pay It Forward program. and we use a portion of the funding to pay it forward. Simply stated, we offer a no money out-of-pocket credit repair to the 220 million Americans in need of this valuable service. We pay $2,500 to have their personal credit fixed and enhanced to give them a 720 FICO score in 45 days or less. Remember, I've been doing this for a while, so none of this is theory. We have actually been engrossed and engaged in doing these deals, and I'm seeing it happen every single day. So some of the money from the corporate funding you're going to put into our Pay It Forward program, and you're going to use the Pay It Forward program to leverage and double your money every 120 days, because millions upon millions of Americans will raise their hand for this offer. We offer them no money out of pocket. We say, look, you have bad credit, you have slow credit, let us enhance it and fix it. In 45 days or less, we'll get you to a 720 FICO score, and all you've got to do is use our funding vehicle once we get you there. And why would a person want to do that? Because they'll receive a minimum of $50,000 in funding, and the average is $150K, and I've actually seen some people fund quite a bit higher, as much as $400K. That's in personal funding now. So the stipulation is that each Pay It Forward client agrees to pay us double our expense to get their credit restored. In this case, $5,000. We spent $2,500 to get them enhanced. We enhanced their credit score. We took them into funding. When they receive their money, they pay us back $5,000. So we double our money. And you can double any amount over 120 days. So by allocating a portion of the corporate funding, say 150 grand, we can double it every 120 days using the Pay It Forward program with a large level of safety. And that's another $450,000 per year on top of the ongoing weekly residual of $4,900 per week in Bitcoin. Is a light bulb starting to go off, ladies and gentlemen? Is this starting to make sense? We restore your credit, we take you into funding, you use the funding to get into our 7% weekly Bitcoin program. You create a residual ongoing passive income with that. We take a portion of the personal funding, we start a corporation, we take the money that we get from the corporate funding, we go into our Pay It Forward program, and we start doubling every 120 days. I'm showing you right here about $700,000 and change in annual income utilizing this credit vehicle, and we're not done because we can wash, rinse, and repeat. We can also develop and fund more corporations and repeat this process. Okay, so realize now you got some money for corporate funding. Why wouldn't we take some of that corporate funding and start more corporations? Because those corporations will be owned by the first corporation, and 2 new corporations can receive as much as $1 million in funding, and that's in 120 days. And of course, we can allocate a portion of this $1 million to the 7% weekly program and a portion to the Pay It Forward program, or other ventures out there that you might be aware of, that you might be excited about. So now you have a clearer understanding of how we're using debt as leverage, how we take that debt, how we take that cash that we get and create cash-producing assets that perpetuate the income. But I want to point out, folks, that limited seats are available. There's a small window of opportunity because we're gaining momentum on this program. I've been promising this webinar for weeks, but I've been so busy just with my word-of-mouth people, I haven't had the time to sit down and actually record it. So let me be clear, there are only so many clients that we can realistically process each and every month. We're pushing a lot of paper, and we're doing a lot of deals, and we have built in a limited number of seats, folks. So those who participate now will be able to participate ongoing when the program closes to the public, and that day is coming soon. So I'm going to encourage each and every one of you, don't wait. The biggest difference between successful and average people is that successful people will take action immediately and stay focused until they achieve the desired result. One of the reasons I present this webinar, folks, is to sort the tire kickers from the action takers, because I surround myself with like-minded people who share the same vision. So let me ask you, are you like-minded? Okay, if you like what you heard so far, step 1 is join the club. It's an easy step. It takes a few minutes and it's free. Once you gain access to our funding portal, the next step is to get a few docs filled out so we can get you an assessment. So you want to bounce over to peakfundingpro.com and create a free profile. The second step is to bring your credit as is. Now, in a perfect world, you already have a perfect credit score. You already have a 720 FICO score. But it doesn't matter what your current FICO score is because everyone can receive funding. What does that mean? That means you're going to be a client of our Pay It Forward program. There are two scenarios. You're ready to go into funding today, or number two, you're going to go into credit enhancement. Step 3, you're going to receive maximum funding. And folks, we work with underwriters that have a history of getting the highest amounts of funding in the industry. Step 4 is you're going to participate in our 7% weekly program, which is going to create $4,900 per week in income, and then our Pay It Forward program, which means that you are a client of the program, and then once you get the funding, you become a lender. We call it our hard money lending program for the people that are on the inside. Step 5 is that you protect your credit. We teach you how to pay off your debt even if you don't have any money to work with. Well, we just showed you where the money is. We have a strategy to get you to $1 million in funding. I probably should modify this slide because I just showed you the strategy. And of course, there are tax strategies that will allow you to keep even more money. And money saved is money earned. So folks, in a nutshell, this is one of the success vehicles that I'm using to live a life of design. Those of you that know me, you already know I came to the Philippines 2 years and a few months ago with one suitcase. This credit business allowed me to move into the penthouse that I'm currently at, 64 and 65 floors above Manila. I live literally in a 5-star resort run by the Shangri-La hotel chain. And this is the business that has allowed me to do it. This is the business that has given me control of my time. This is the business that has changed my perspective on how to live, really, because I never understood how to utilize debt as leverage. And now that I do, there's no going back for me, folks. I hope this has made sense to you. Get back to the person that invited you to this webinar. It costs you nothing to create a free profile, so whether you're on the fence or not, everyone should go over to peakfundingpro.com, create a free profile, and if you have questions, get answers and get started this week, and I'll see you guys at the top. God bless everyone.